here, just out of the surgery room. Everything went to plan. Everything went perfect. I'm feeling tremendous. We got 6 weeks on a crutch now, and then we begin to build back. You know, I want to thank all the fans all around the world for your messages of support. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I want to thank all the fans in attendance at the T-Mobile Arena, 21,800 fans in attendance. The place was absolutely electric. It was a hell of a first round. It would have been nice to get into that second round and then, you know, to see what's what, but it is what it is. That's the nature of the business. A clean break of the tibia, and it was not to be. You know, Dustin, you can celebrate that illegitimate win all you want, but you've done nothing in there. That second round would have shown all. And, you know, onwards and upwards we go, team. We dust ourselves off, we build ourselves back, and we come back better than ever. Let's go, team.
Thank you so much. It was a tremendous evening here in Las Vegas. The trilogy, Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, so many expectations based on the fact the first 2 times they fought, there was a knockout. Guess what? We had another finish here with the 2-time bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz, former middleweight champion Michael Bisping, and the host of First Take and Stephen A's World on ESPN Plus, Stephen A. Smith. Steve, let me start with you. There were so many questions about both fighters coming into this thing because of what was at stake. Considering how this fight finished, what's your takeaway?
My takeaway is that Conor McGregor, the best of his career, is over. It's over. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that. And the reason I feel that way is because, again, you sustained a leg injury. It wasn't a knockout. You didn't get punched in the head. You didn't get punched in the jaw. What happens is that he's been choked out before. Obviously, he had the calf kicks in the second fight, against Poirier. And tonight, he broke his leg. He broke his leg, okay? And to come back from that injury, Dominique was educating me about 6 months at least. I'm just looking at him from that perspective, and I'm saying to myself, it's going to be very, very difficult for him to come back from that. I believe that the best of Conor McGregor is gone. We have seen it. He had a good 30 to 45 seconds. From that point forward, Poirier took over. You understand, was on top of him, was throwing some haymakers at him, and was on top of him. I just don't see how Conor, with this injury, is going to come back and be at the elite level we once saw him at years ago, because this is just another reason for him to be inactive.
Mike, it's one thing to lose 3 of your last 4 fights. It's something else. For that last fight, you broke your leg.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be finished in 3 of those last 4, as Stephen just said, the best days are definitely behind him. Listen, he had an amazing career. He was a 2-weight division champion, something that was never done before. But what we're seeing right now, yeah, of course, that's not in any way, shape or form the Conor McGregor that resembled it in 2014, the guy that we saw, the guy that took over the sport. He's gone. He's dead. Listen, like it or not, he was finished tonight, okay? He checked a leg kick, his leg fractured, and besides that, he was getting dominated for the entire round. He was taken down. He didn't have very good defense on the floor. He ate a lot of elbows. Listen, the man's done amazing things in the sport, but his time in the sun, I believe, is over.
Dominic?
When I look at the fight, it's obvious. He lost that fight, as Bisping said. You can't go into these fights healthy, leave with the broken leg, and say that I broke my own leg. That happened because you were fighting the man, trying to punch him, and you fell back on your leg. At the same time, I think what really makes it tough for Conor to come back are the things that have been said, the personas that have been hopped around. It's, I'm nice, now I'm back to mean. I started mean, now I'm back to nice, and now I'm back to mean. You're trying to figure out your own brain. So if you really want to know what I think is the issue, it's what persona does he go to now? Where do you go? Do you go back to being mean? Do you go back to being nice?
Well, he clearly went back to being mean because he doubled down there at the end. He's sitting there with a broken leg, and he's calling out Dustin Poirier, saying that his wife was in his DMs and used a very bad word to describe the wife of the opponent that just broke your leg. That's going farther than he's ever gone before, Steve.
That's going too damn far. That's number one. Number two, let's remember that Conor McGregor was in the ring on his backside screaming for it to be a doctor stoppage as opposed to just a simple loss. He was emphasizing that needed to be emphasized. That was what the conclusion of this outcome should have been. Now, I cover the world of basketball, football, and things of that nature, and the reality is this: if this was any of those guys, we'd be all over them for the kind of language that he used, the way that he talked about that man Dustin Poirier's family and what have you. There is absolutely positively no excuse for Conor McGregor to engage in that kind of tasteless, classless behavior. I understand this is a fight game and we see a lot of stuff going on from time to time, but to be on your back backside with a broken leg and to go at Dustin Poirier that way where you are attacking and insulting the man's wife. That's why Dustin Poirier had to be restrained from going after Conor after he had spoken to Joe Rogan and he was about to walk out of the ring because you're talking about the man's wife.
Yeah.
It's really uncalled for. It really is.
Here's what we should do right now. We need to put the focus on Dustin Poirier, how impressive he was not only in this last fight, but this fight, but also, Dominic, what it means for him going forward. Biggest payday of his career. Now we know he will fight Charles Oliveira for the 155-pound title.
And man, is that a fun fight, because you got to look at his style and look at where he matches up as a full fighter to the rest of the division. He's got the stand-up, he's got the takedowns, as we saw, he's got the black belt, the takedown defense. He knows how to fight a Charles Oliveira on the ground and on the feet, so it's a beautiful fight. When you look at this, you got to look at him as a champion, because that's what he is.
Yes.
He said, you know what? I'll give up the belt to make a couple $1 million and knock out somebody that I don't like. Let's go for it. He did it. Who wouldn't do that? So he is the champion. He proved it. And it wasn't easy, because you are facing a ready Conor McGregor, and he did it, and he finished him, and he beat him.
And listen, this sport, the slogan is as real as it gets. And we know that Conor coming into this one was like, oh, you shoot, submissions don't matter. He was telling you the only thing that matters is a knockout, okay? If that was a street fight tonight, this is supposed to replicate, Dustin Poirier would have tap danced on his head. That was a TKO. That was a finish. Conor McGregor lost. Dustin Poirier won. He's now going to fight Charles Oliveira. That's an incredible fight. And you're right, though. We do need to talk about Dustin more than Conor.
Dustin's special. Dustin's special. He's got special skills. Now he's 12-2 in his last 14th fight, and he's beat some pretty notable people. So he deserves a lot of credit for that. But I want to piggyback off of what you just brought up about what Conor McGregor said to me when I interviewed him earlier this week. In his mind, if you don't knock him out, he didn't lose. So guess what? You could almost engage in reverse psychology, because he didn't lose in his mind because he hasn't been knocked out. That means he doesn't mind coming to the octagon and walking out with a loss, because in his eyes, if you didn't KO him, he's all right.
Well, first of all,
you got to decide as MMA fans and MMA experts whether that's good enough or not. Me, a loss is a loss.
Well, first of all,
when they mount.
let me tell you, Stephen, he ain't walking anywhere, let alone out of the octagon. That's a fact. But you're right. Listen, the reality is for Conor, right? Because he is, just like Sean O'Malley when he lost to Chito Vera, he is going to be in denial. He's going to say, I wasn't finished. I hurt my leg. And I get it. As an athlete, as a fighter, someone that wants to be the best in the world, you do look for these things. You grasp for them to try and explain why you lost. And listen, I'm telling you, it's a pretty good excuse. My leg snapped. I stepped back. Right. My ankle rolled. All the rest of it. It is feasible. And a lot of Conor McGregor fans out there will buy that narrative. But it's not true.
But even with the broken leg excuse, if you want to call it that, did he lose that first round?
10-8.
Yes.
10-8 round.
10-8
domination.
Round. So again, the domination was there from Dustin Poirier. So you can make whatever excuse you want, Dominic, but Dustin Poirier clearly was a better fighter the last two times these guys fought.
Our job as a champion, and a champion like Dustin Poirier is showing himself to be, is to have respect and to show yourself as a higher person in these bad times. When you look at this, I mean, look at how that went down. He broke his ankle, he hurt himself, and he's still talking. It's like, what is that really going to create from here? What's the responsible version of the conversation is what a champion would say. I broke my own ankle by not making the right moves is what a champion is supposed to say. What's the responsible version? If I point the finger at the promotion for stopping the fight, that's the easy way out. What happens when you point the finger? You got three fingers pointing back. He did it to himself.
As a fan, not an aficionado, I'll throw something out at y'all.
Ooh.
And I'm interested in y'all opinion about this.
Let's go.
Are you ready for this?
Ready.
The fact that he talked so much smack, and he brought up his wife, and while it was on his backside with a broken leg as opposed to a KO, is that cause for a fourth fight? In some people's eyes, in some people's eyes. In other words, if I'm healthy and my legs are straight, I can come back and get you again, because Poirier might want you even more because you talk so much smack about his wife.
If you're a part of the Conor McGregor army, if you're on the hype train, then yes, 100%. Also, I'll go out on a limb and say this. If you're at the UFC, that fight's going to do big business. So I'm telling you, is it right? No. Will we see it? I don't know.
Possibly.
Possibly.
That's why I brought it up.
Hey, if that was going through his mind when he's laying there, that's impressive.
Well, listen. Well, who can rule that out?
No,
the man
because you're talking about Conor McGregor.
has been an expert at making money over there.
He was talking that way
No.
to set up a fourth fight. That's it.
Yeah, he
But
was.
check this out. Check this out. He's going to have at least 6 months until he comes back.
At least.
Right? He's been finished 3 times out of the last 4. What's going to go throughout those 6 months? A little bit of depression, a little bit of self-doubt, a little bit of self-loathing possibly. He might never be the same again. Or maybe he will. Maybe he comes back and becomes champion of the world. You
We never know. We will find out soon enough. By the way, Dustin Poirier now has 20 wins in the UFC, the 3rd fastest man to get to 20 wins. The only 2 guys that did it faster, John Jones and George St. Pierre. That's really good company in the UFC. Plenty more to come here on SportsCenter throughout the evening, but right now we're going to sing it back to Bristol. Dustin Poirier takes care of Conor McGregor for a second time.